Same thing on Facebook. You're always seeing complaints, like with all these police shootings of black folks. Then you show there are maybe 2 pictures of a white guy being arrested or a black guy being arrested, and this guy's being treated all nice, and the black guy's getting beat to the ground and choked out. And we know this is happening. Okay, it's not like these things are untrue, because we have a lot of black folks being killed by the police. We have a lot of black folks being incarcerated that maybe they should be incarcerated, but more white guys need to be incarcerated for the same thing as well. We have folks that are committing suicide, in their jail cells. We have a lot of stuff going on that's not quite right. And so we find folks posting these pictures and all these laments and all these criticisms on the internet all the time. And folks, that's right, you're right. And then you find arguments between maybe the white folks and the black folks, and it just to be name calling, it just gets to be kind of crazy sometimes. But my thoughts are that stuff is just a waste of time. That there are things that we can do. There's black folks in this nation. I mean, I'm not one to just sit and lament and cry about stuff. I tell my daughter that all the time. I said, if you just come to me if something's wrong and just tell me in a clear voice what's going on, you're going to get more out of me than if you come whining about situations that have got you down. And so what I'm seeing today, even with the Black Lives Matter movement, I know when that first started, I was kind of critical of them, and still I don't believe that it's ever going to work. But I'm going to support them simply because they're probably like young, idealistic young folks that have a feeling like, things just need to be right. But I've been here long enough to recognize that the perpetrators of your ills probably are not going to respond simply because you ask them to. And there are times that you just have to make a stand. There are times you just have to determine that I'm going to take what is mine. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about you need to come up with a strategy, come up with a way that's going to allow you to get what you're supposed to have, to get what is yours, okay? And so all I'm saying is just begging people, begging a sadistic person that doesn't mind killing you to please stop. Come on, you really think that's going to work? I don't think so. So I was talking to some folks the other day, and we were discussing like the Black Lives Matter movement and sort of comparing it to maybe the Civil Rights movement, all those marches and marches down the street, Martin Luther King and all that stuff, and maybe even comparing it to this recent Million Man March that was sponsored by the Nation of Islam that went to D.C. Recently. I'm just saying they got no media coverage, right? Okay. So now we're posting pictures on the internet about how come we didn't get any media coverage. Come on now. So that means that was all a waste of time as well. It's time in this day and age to find out a way to be successful in what you need to have accomplished. And that's what I'm about. Okay. I mean, I have a plan. I guess many folks have plans, but I mean, it has to be a plan that's going to be viable, that's going to work. Okay. I look at our, historically, we can go back historically. I think that's what the Black Lives Movement matters is about, is looking back historically. and seeing what Martin Luther King did and how it worked. But when we consider historically what happened, I mean, it was a different place back in those days. And Martin Luther King really wasn't trying to appeal for civil rights. Martin Luther King's civil rights movement wasn't a civil rights movement at all. It was a human rights movement. And what Martin Luther King was depending on was getting the world to see what was going on in his nation. No, he didn't want pitched gun battles. He didn't want them to be armed and fighting back, the government or local governments or state governments in pitched battles, which other organizations did do. No, he wanted the world to see pictures, to see videos of people that were peaceful protesters that were being terribly mistreated, beaten, killed, lynched. All that stuff was going on. That was a human rights issue, not a civil rights issue. And it finally did work. We all know that. But what I'm suggesting today is this: we try to mimic what Martin Luther King did. Like that's what the Black Lives Matter, that's what the Nation of Islam did in D.C. with that Million Man March. It's just not going to work. Because the human rights issue that relies on response from the world outside of this nation, I mean, they're going through the same stuff in their nations. Come on now. They're killing their people. They're having battles with their people. Stuff is blowing up. They got terrorism going on. They got all kinds of mess going on in their nations. They ain't got no time to be looking at us, to condemning us, or any of that stuff. There is no human rights movement in this nation because there's nobody to show it to. There's nobody can look at it. Nobody's going to respond because every nation's going through. I mean, we just had Sweden recently. Sweden, the people in Norway, the people that were supposed to be the most liberal, turns out, man, they got a lot of hate crimes toward black people over there. I mean, they took black out of their nomenclature, out of their verbiage, so they don't say it anymore, as if that means the situation is going to straighten out itself. But you got human rights issues everywhere. So trying to have a march and a human rights movement to show the world, it ain't going to happen. And we're not really as strong as Martin Luther King and them because we're not trying to go out there and get beat. We're like the spoiled kids, of parents who actually sacrifice. The parents that worked all their lives and finally got their credit cards and bought their home and all this and nice car and all that, retired. And their kids come up and say, I want that now. No, you want this now without the sacrifice, okay? So there's a sacrifice. And so we're the spoiled generation that thinks we're going to go out there and march around with no sacrifice, with no physical turmoil, with no negativity like that. I think we're going to get all these gains that were garnered into this nation through Martin Luther King's movement, and many of those that were his contemporaries and peers. But I'm saying this is a different time. Now there is a way, but it's not that way. And there is a way. And I started an organization. But it's slow getting off the ground because what we have today, people are not willing to sacrifice. See, that's the difference between now. That is a big difference between the people now and the people at Martin Luther King's day. Because, he was the peaceful guy, tried that particular strategy. But you had other guys. You had Stokely Carmichael out there. You had a bunch of SNCC. You had the Panthers a little bit later. You had groups, a bunch of folks out there. They were all ready to sacrifice, all willing to do something for the movement. They had different ways of doing it, different ideas. But they're ready to sacrifice. The difference in our generation is we're not willing to sacrifice. And what I'm suggesting is it's sort of like that old proverb as far as there's a season for everything. There's a time for peace and there's a time for war. This is a time for war. I don't mean war like violent war, but I mean this is the time to be serious. This isn't a time for slumber. This isn't a time for leisure. This isn't a time to be chilling with the buzz. And so we're always looking at folks. We're looking at some of the Arab store owners. We're looking at some of the Indian that are owning the gas stations. We're looking at some of the Koreans that are owning some of these hair gold and some of these hip-hop clothes type stores. And we're looking at them in jealousy and negativity, but we're not recognizing even the sacrifice that they made to make their dream come true. Come on, they've moved to another country. As civilians, not in the military. They just picked up out of their home country, moved to another country to try to make some money. That's a sacrifice. What are we willing to sacrifice? I asked the other day on the program, I said, if you had the opportunity, if you knew, look, when you look at some of these foreign business owners that are here, like in our city, but all over the nation, in our city, these folks aren't rich. They're not wealthy. But they realize that if they do what they need to do today, that their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren will be wealthy in this country. Okay? So they're sacrificing their comfort for the children that will be living when they have passed on. Black folks, we can't hardly do that. If I ask you today, if the difference between your grandchildren being prosperous in this nation just means that you have to stop smoking weed and stop drinking alcohol, period, forever, but they will be well, would you do it? No. If I told you, you got to stop eating that food, that high cholesterol food, if I tell you, you got to get in shape, exercise, lose 150, 200 pounds, and if you do, your children and your grandchildren will be prosperous, would you do it? No. That's the difference. Now, when I'm saying no, I'm thinking that we can say, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll change. I'm not saying give it up, because I'm still trying to do this movement here, this organization. And I have people that are somewhat willing. But see, this is the difference between having an organization, having an idea, as you're birthing an idea, whether that idea is going to be born alive or it's going to be stillborn, okay? It's the commitment that the individual is going to make. It's the passion that the individual is going to make. And if there is no passion, that baby, that organization, that movement will be stillborn. It can't be, oh well, now I'm going to go do this now. This has to be the focus. I mean, how many of y'all ever been in network marketing? So many people have. I know it's kind of a shame, you don't want to admit it, but you have. You remember when you go to those meetings and everybody be all, applauding and screaming, acting all crazy and everything? Then you go to the conventions. I know I was in Excel. I went to a convention in Texas, man. I mean, a convention center for a week was filled up, and people were just screaming and yelling, coming across the stage, enjoying themselves, spending money like crazy, buying the paraphernalia just because they're part of this organization. It was alive. And I'm sure that, and there are other ones now. I see them on the internet. That kind of passion. That's the kind of passion. Now imagine having that kind of a passion for a movement. There isn't going to be any financial gain, any money in your pocket. Well, if you do this, you'll get your investment money back, and then when they buy, there ain't no money involved. It's just an enlightenment. It's like a light bulb goes off. And there's something I can do to begin to do something. That's the passion. That's the passion that allowed Martin Luther King to walk those walks and get pounded and get pummeled and get up and keep on walking. I have to admit, I'd have a problem with that myself. But that's a passion. That's what I'm suggesting today. Until we get a passion, until we get a passion, it's just not going to be like this. Those Koreans that own those hair places and those clothing places, for you to get up out of your country, take whatever your life savings were, and move your whole family to another country to try to start a business from scratch. There was no promise of success. But that takes a passion. That takes a commitment. We don't have that. And I'm not saying it's our fault, from a long-term, hundreds of year perspective. But see, my position on this thing, I'm not one. I had a big old discussion with one of my cousins in New York, and I guess she got kind of aggravated with me because I was like ragging on folks that are simply complaining, simply talking, simply bringing up stuff that everybody already knows about. When there's action, take some action, do something. And her position was like, well, this is therapy, when you're under an oppressor. I'm like, that's what is that? It's not about therapy. It's not therapy. Screaming and yelling and bringing up truths and all this stuff. That's a process to attain a particular purpose. At least I'm sure that's how it started. But after a while, we begin to focus on the process and we forget the purpose. And when the process becomes the purpose, we got nowhere to go. We don't have an end game. We don't have a goal. It's just that every time something happens, we're just going to go up there and scream and cry and lament. And that's why 100 years later, it's still this way. So what I'm suggesting today is there needs to be a passion. There is something that we can do. Well, I do have an organization that I've just birthed recently, but it's still being born. It's still in the process of being born. And at the moment, a few people have a passion. They don't have the passion I have, but I have this passion. Because I believe that we can change this community. But it's going to take a commitment. It's going to take a passion. What I'm suggesting is if you can't stop smoking weed, if you can't stop drinking alcohol, then it's not going to change for you. And if you can't stop eating foods that are unhealthy, the cholesterol, fattening foods, the soul foods that are just not good for you and all that stuff, taking cholesterol medicine because you're going to keep eating those foods, come on now, think about that. And so what I'm suggesting today is that these are just almost like two litmus tests, two signs to see if we are worthy, you know. Remember the grasshopper from Kung Fu, when you were able to take this stone from my hand? I mean, when you're able to show that you could have a passion and make a real commitment, then it's time to go on. It's time to do some things. We can do this thing. We can change this community. I wasn't living here. You know, my family came here and my dad in the military years ago, and I left, came back after I got out of the military myself. But I understand Dayton was like a booming town, man, with the theaters, with the stores, and all this stuff. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all were here. Some of y'all experienced that. It can be that again. It really can. But we'd have to mobilize. I started a program that will make this happen. But there has to be a passion. There has to be a commitment. There has to be a determination and sacrifice. And I ain't even talking about money. How many of us have gone to those network marketing meetings and paid the entry fee and bought this and bought that and spent all kinds of money just trying to be rich? See, rich don't come that easy. I mean, if rich could be purchased for $200, $300, man, everybody would be rich. If prosperity could be purchased for an investment of just simple money like that, everyone would be prosperous. But this is an idea. We don't have enough money to move the politicians. We don't have enough money to get them to stop killing us in the street. We don't have enough money to get respect, to have money, to have power in this nation. But what we do have are bodies. And if we can mobilize our bodies with a commitment, we can make some changes. I'd say the biggest problem that we have in our community today is black folks. When I say our community, it's our community, Dayton, but it's the community at large. I mean, it's Ohio. It's the United States of America. As black folks, the pride is gone. Come on now. We're doing things that are not... Look, I got my CCW, my concealed carry license, not long ago. And there are a lot of rules that go along with that. You can lose them so easy. If you get a domestic call, violence call from your home, you lose it. If you get stopped drunk driving, you lose it. Now, I don't drink and I don't beat my family. But what I'm saying is, even the other day, man, right after I got it, that day, man, I'm driving, I'm like, trying to be more careful. It's like, once you start doing something positive, once you get a little bit of pride in you, it makes you adjust just a little bit. So often I think as black folks, and I've been there too, you know, you're driving, you don't know what you got hanging over your head, you don't know if you got it worn out, you know, cop behind you, looking in the mirror, you're getting nervous, you know, all this stuff. This is how we live, because there is no real pride in that. That's not pride. I mean, it's not the same intensity, but South Africa, where the police could walk up in the old days, I mean, give me your cards, your papers, or whatever. It's the same type thing. I'm looking at my wooden rearview mirror, thinking this guy's going to pull me over and being worried about it. No matter what age we are. We all know that. We've all been there. Some of us are there right now. All I'm saying is there is no pride in that. There is no pride when you're driving in your car with your family and you're afraid you're going to get pulled over and be humiliated, you know, when the guy comes up to your window. I took a lot of flack a few months ago. This guy on the internet, man, somebody posted a video. He was on his way through Dayton, got stopped by the police or something, and the policeman, he said he was tearing up, and then the policeman cut him a break. And he was just so thankful, and he was crying. I'm like, what kind of man is that? Why is it that I have to be so thankful, even to the point of crying, simply because someone did what they were supposed to, and he was thanking God, and all praise be to God, and other Christians were chiming in, amen. I mean, come on, that ain't no pride. When you're sitting here all crying, all praising God for the favor of this guy who simply did what he was supposed to do, we have lost it. We have no pride. And so that is the issue that we have in our nation today as black folks. Black folks have no pride. That is the foundation. And so, of course, my program is meant to bring pride back into our community and build up ourselves to be greater than we ever what's for. There's this brother that's part of my organization that was telling me some time ago that he wanted the Black Wall Street back, you know. I mean, now see, that attitude right there is beyond me. But see, and he's younger than me. But see, that's what it's all about, because I mean, I have my ideas, but it was important for me to be bringing other people in, as a foundation, some minds, some thoughts, people that are beyond me. All I know is what I know. This guy was like a Black Wall Street. The first thing in my mind was, come on, brother, you crazy. But then it was like, man, this guy is thinking outside of my box, you know what I'm saying? He's like, this is beyond me. And this is the same guy I was just telling recently with some others that you know, we have to have desires. We have to have goals that seem almost outside of our own ability even to make it happen, because then we have to depend. We depend on each other. We depend on a unity. We depend on a commitment from each other, a passion from each other. Because yeah, with one person it's impossible. You've heard of that 3-strand cord cannot be broken. Man, I can be broken, you can be broken, he might be broken over here, her too. But if we come together, we can't be broken. But see, that's what they did. That's why we don't come together. We're the first ones to tell on each other. We're the first ones to steal from each other. We're the first ones to tear each other down. I'm not saying it can't change. I believe it can change. I wouldn't even be here right now. We could change this thing. We could fix this thing. But each of us individuals, we have to look at that mirror. We have to recognize the ills that we have as individuals and say, well, this particular ill, it's got to go. I've got to be unified with my brother. I got to be unified with my sister, not with an ulterior motive, so I can get something from her and take this from him and get that and get this. No, so that together we can accomplish some goals. So hopefully as this program's been going on, the ticker at the bottom has been giving you my number. Text that number, and I'll contact you back, or email me. Because I started a program, and I have a website for it. It's called UCRproject.org, Urban Consciousness Revitalization Project, but it's UCR Project. Trying to be real easy to remember. .org. And under that is an organization I created recently called RAZOR, R-A-Z-O-R, Raise Awareness, Zeal, Organize Resources. And this is the thing that is being birthed right now, and I want this thing to be born alive, not stillborn. There are things that we're trying to do to bring back this community. There are particular organizations, particular clubs, like a gun club, okay? See, look, as black folks, I mean, what really bugged me, man, was like, you know that stuff in Ferguson that went down with that brother being killed. Then I'm looking, there's a group of white guys, civilian white guys, that are armed, carrying, you know, assault rifles, patrolling the streets down there. They're called Oath Keepers or something like that. I'm like, I mean, that's all well and good, because I believe in the right to bear arms. I believe every American that can should bear arms. So that myself and them, we're on the same page in that respect. But I'm thinking there should be just as many black folks walking, patrolling those streets with assault rifles as well, to match every one of them. Like sort of like the arms race, you know, a balance of power. And see, this is where, so these guys are patrolling the streets with their assault rifles, white guys, black neighborhoods. And one of the white commentators on the news said, well, you know, black people just need to stay home. And so they are staying home. What pride is that? Come on, man. We need to have organizations. We need to have organizations where black people are legally armed, licensed, carrying their weapons, proficient, and standing their own ground, okay? And that right there will bring a pride. I mean, imagine that, to have like 50 guys here in Dayton, and that's just the beginning, that are part of this gun club, that are legal gun owners, that are carrying their weapons, that even have the license to carry. There is a pride in that. Imagine 50 of them. Then imagine 100 of them. Imagine 1,000 of them. Imagine 5,000 of them. Come on, there is immediately pride will begin to be manifesting within the minds and hearts of black folks in this nation. Not only that, but businesses. I see businesses in this nation, businesses in this city that we can begin birthing. And so you have a competition. Like you might have this little Korean clothing store, Korean hair gold store. Well, we can have a hair place too as well. But in this organization, we're beginning to get a network now of business owners, of just regular people in the neighborhoods, maybe 100. Right now we have maybe 10. But we've only been around for 2 weeks. But then 100. But then 1,000, then 10,000. We say, all these people, all you ladies getting your hair products, take all your business to this guy's store. This guy's store will begin to prosper. And then we'll have somebody with a clothing store over here and say, okay, all you guys, take your business to this guy's clothing store. This guy's clothing store will blow up. This is what a lot of the people from other nations are doing here, but we need to begin doing that. And one by one, our businesses will be birthed. We're trying to get away to, but see, it's very important that the business owners have an integrity about themselves. See, a lot of times we have black businesses that want black people to begin to feed and to patronize their particular establishments, but then the money that they make, they take over to Centerville, or they take over Miamisburg, or they take somewhere else. Well, I'm going to buy my furniture here. I'm going to buy my clothes here. I'm going to buy my food here. And so they're taking the money out of the black community. It doesn't matter if you're Korean. It doesn't matter if you're white or if you're black. If money is being going into your establishment in the black community, and you're taking out of the black community, it doesn't matter if you're a black store owner. You're still messing over your own community. What I'm saying is we need to have enough businesses. We need to have diverse businesses that we're able to patronize a particular business, but that business owner as well spends that money that he just made in the black community, patronizing another black business. So this is what we're trying to do, get a network, creating a network of black businesses, and actually that are already existing, but as well creating black businesses one by one that are going to begin prospering as well, and having a network of the people. See, what we do as black folks, hey, that was a good idea, I just run that program. Why don't we start a network like that? Here we go again, splitting it. So we don't want to be that cord. Now I'm telling you what we're starting already. Don't try to do this on your own, because we're going to have a whole bunch of little ones out there and there's no power in that. Come together, join, make this happen. Network, and you will prosper. See, they split us up. Historically, see, I don't sit there and lament about the way things are because of the way things were, and you still owe me 40 acres and a mule. No, I'm gonna find some mule cells, okay, and I'm gonna clone my own mule, okay. I'm gonna find some land. I'm gonna build my own piece of land over here, okay. I don't need you to give me 40 acres. I don't need you to give me a mule. I'll make my mule and I'll buy my 40 acres. That's what we're trying to do. We just begging and free money. We got to get up out of that. I'm telling you, as we begin to network, as we begin to build this thing, if you're a person that's an entrepreneur that wants to start a business, that just never did, but have a desire or heart. See, I don't have a heart to do that, but somebody does. This is what I'm doing right here. So they're going to start. This is a future business owner. We have a business, an entrepreneur club for folks that want to be entrepreneurs. Under one of the brothers, under that brother that wants that Black Wall Street, as a matter of fact. We have another club that's like a business club that has already existing business. Another brother is handling that. We have a gun club for folks. We have these things. We're bringing them all under the umbrella of this organization, in a sense to have organizations that somebody likes something of what's going on, so we can come together in relationship and begin to form those strong bonds. And then say, okay, that store there, we're going to sit there, all of us are going to go to that store and patronize that store. And we're going to build that guy up. And then we're going to say, oh, this store over here, we're going to patronize that one. And it's not about buying something you wouldn't normally buy. It's buying stuff that you were already buying somewhere else. You're just going to buy it here. One by one, we're going to build this community back up. That's what I'm talking about. I got a brother, he's a relative of mine, that has a store, Linwood's, in Dayton. It's one of those nice stores, with the watches, the clothes, and all that stuff. Clothes that I don't wear, so I don't even go there. But he's my nephew. And he's been in business for about a year. And I'm going to have him speak to the entrepreneurs. And I already talked to him. He said he'd be glad to do it, to give them the insights on how to start a business. And I remember he had some roadblocks that he had to face. But you won't think about roadblocks. When you face them, now you can give that information, that knowledge to someone else that may not have to go that route. So we're just doing this thing, and we're just birthing this organization. But this is the movement of the future. The movement of the future isn't begging the perpetrators of your ills to treat you right. Oh, police, stop beating us because Black Lives Matter. Come on, man, if they ain't stopped beating you by now, they're not going to stop at all. You got to take what's yours, and take what's yours is through power. And in this nation, the only way you have power is through money. If you ain't got no money, you ain't got no power. There are two ways now to establish power in this nation. It's through power and it's through bodies. Through money, through bodies. Money and bodies. We don't have the money yet, but we have the bodies. And if we can mobilize the bodies, we can get that money. For real. But black people have so long been so split apart. And they did it, on the plantations. They would say, you go there, you take families and split them apart. Do that all the time. Take tribes, split them apart. People have certain tongues. No, y'all can't be here, split them apart. So we're hundreds and hundreds of years of being split apart. Telling on each other for that buttered biscuit, right? But I'm just saying is, we need to come together. We need to look around the people that are prospering are people that come together. People that got each other's backs. People that help each other. And if you help me, I'll help you. If you help, you will be helped. What goes around really does come around. We say that all the time. You reap what you sow. But we're always sowing negativity. You can't be squealing on somebody. I'm not talking about crimes now. I'm talking about, well, they're trying to do this over there. Be telling, come on now. We just got to come together and get it together. And if we do, it'll work out just fine. I'm telling you, sometimes we look, like even with this business, it's not a business, but it's like an organization. It's a business in the sense, but it's not really producing money. It's just producing enlightenment for folks. And every so often I just kind of get a little discouraged in that, I live in a nice home. I have seemingly normal family, somewhat normal family. I have a good job, and I'm going to school. I've almost got my degree, a couple more classes. I could easily just stop trying to help other folks, but these are my people. I love black people. We are crazy sometimes. I was in the neighborhood just a week ago. I was telling my buddy, man, it's a mailman. Some of y'all know me as a mailman in West Dayton. I was on this street, and this lady sitting out there, and she was just happy. I gave her, she goes, oh, thank you, baby, And it was so nice. But I know that if something had gone wrong, this same lady would have cut my throat. That's how we are as black folks, man. We are passionate. Either passionate, come on, baby. Or passionate, I'm going to kill you. That's how we are. But I do love our folks. And I want to see us do well. I want to see us just get it together and have not be second-class citizens. Because as things go on with the immigration system, like with the Mexicans coming in, I like Mexicans. My grandfather was Mexican, so. But we're being moved out, okay, of wherever we're supposed to be at. And it's okay with that if we just proceed to the next level, okay? See, it's like, man, I see these visions sometimes. I see these pictures in my mind. What I see is black people, okay, that we have grown up. Say you got a high school. And say it's a whole school from like 1st grade to 12th grade, okay? And so in the 5th grade, black folks been sitting in this 5th grade for like 5 years. We just big kids sitting in the 5th grade. Because, we get our apple juice and we get our graham crackers. And it's not too hard, we just sitting there. The work isn't that hard. Because, we've been in there for quite some time now, longer than we should have been. Now we got another group of immigrants, some Mexicans coming in. Now that's the grade they're supposed to be in the 5th grade, right? So they're coming in, they're getting ready to take our seats. And we're complaining because they're getting ready to take our seats. But really, we should be in the 6th grade. Actually, we should be in the 11th, 12th grade right now. But I'm saying we just realize that. Just get up and move to the next class before they get here. Let's just make ourselves prosperous. I am offering a way to do that. And I ain't charging nothing. I'm saying we just need to mobilize. We need to come together, man. If we can get together and say, in my mind, I see this thing that coming together 1,000 people, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people. Imagine going to the mayor and saying, look, or to what if you're, somebody that's looking for votes and saying, look, you're going to be out of office if you don't do what you're supposed to do. Trust me, they're going to do it. Money is power, bodies are power, bodies are votes. If we can mobilize and say, okay, we're going to block vote everyone in this. We got 10,000 people in this Razor group here, and we're all going to vote this way. Now, what are you going to do? Trust me, that's power. Money is power, bodies are power. We're mobilizing these bodies. It seems beyond us. But as black folks, we need to just look at some of our history and learn from it. We can look at history like, look at the military, segregated military. We all know the story of the Red Tails. Black folks just had to see what was going on, get their foot in the door, and just perfect it. We see it in business as well. Many business owners. Black folks just need to get their fingers in the door, perfect it, blow it out the water. Politics the same. Come on, whatever you feel about Republican politicians, whatever. But you got Clarence Thomas in there, Supreme Court Justice. So what is politics? It doesn't matter. White folks are Republicans. White folks are Democrats. So are we. But he's a black man. Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Susan Rice, Eric Holder, Barack Obama. Come on. So we military, whether entertainment, sports, politics, even all up to the President of the United States. I'm saying when we put our minds into it, there's nothing that we can't do. We have that kind of strength. We just have to know what the game is, learn how to play the game, and just do it. We know that. We can do this. This next step is what we're talking about right now. Power. So those are just 1 or 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, 10 guys, 100 black folks we can look at and say, hey, it can be done. But now we don't have the money, but we got the bodies. And if we are wise, if we come together, we can make this thing happen, man. We can turn this city around, and we can be the example to other cities in this state. This state can be examples to other states in this union. We can turn this thing around and be prosperous and be well and have pride in our hearts.